Back in the Twin Otter cockpit I built with Air Manager, you can see I have a forward panel, a side panel, and an overhead panel, and 3 visuals to give me a panoramic view. I wanted to show you some of the instruments that I made, just to give you an idea. Of course, I have a turn and slip indicator. Then I have some switches, guarded switches. You can lift the guards by just tapping them. You can flip the switches up and down. I'll give you an example here. This is the fire mute. If I go over to the fire panel, flip up the fire test switch, go back down to the mute. There's also a gust lock I put on that would cause the ADI to be covered with a placard, just like in the airplane, because that is one of the checklist items, to remove the gust lock. I have a parking brake control, hydraulic brake pressure, ADF, and I'll show you how the touch control works. You can turn the card on the ADF with touch control just by touching the knob. You can see it turns blue. Here the HSI works the same way. I'll turn the course needle or the heading bug. Also have a radar altimeter down here. You can see the again the bug can be set. Turn the light on and off. Have a VVI altimeter with Colesman window, millibars and inches of mercury. Again, can be set with the touch control. And above that, the altitude alert. Again, can all be set with the controls. Set her at 4,000 feet. A cageable HSI or ADI with a fully operational flight director, and of course the airspeed indicator. There's also a chronograph timer. I'll change the mode. There's the autopilot controls. Those can be turned on and off, and all the modes are functional. There's heading mode, nav mode. Turn it. We have the CDI for the number 2 VOR. Again, we can set the OBS. And when I come up here to the overhead panel and show you a few things, we'll go back and look at the warning lights. Up here on the overhead panel, we have all the panels laid out in the approximate positions that they are in the airplane. Here we can turn on the landing lights, on and off, battery switch, off and back on, DC master. We have a flap indicator up there. And run the flaps up and down. See that? And of course we have control for the windshield wipers. We can turn the wipers off and park them too. Change the speed. All the buttons are basically in the same general orientation. We've got an OAT gauge overhead. And then we have, of course, all the other panels, including generators, bus tie, all the lighting controls. Some of these that don't actually work in the Twin Otter Extended, I've just made dummy switches so that at least you can function with them, even though they don't actually work on the Twin Otter. All the lights are press the test, so you can see we can press to test those lights, and they're all controlled. The inverter switch I put on the overhead in an upside down because it's mounted kind of behind the pilot, and when you turn around to look at it, you're looking at it upside down, so I just thought it was appropriate to mount it that way. I'm going to turn on the caution warning light here to test, and we'll come down and see that all the annunciators are operational. You can see all the operational, there's the compass. Also all the other warning lights associated with the auto feather, and we have the autopilot status lights, and we also have the lights for selecting autopilot functions that are also press to test functionality. Down here on the bottom right, we have fuel gauges. We have selectable fuel selectors that we can do with touch control. We have a fuel quantity test button here. Let's see if I can get it. There it is. Test the gauges. Of course, all the fire shutoff and fuel shutoff functions are normal, and we also have a full complement of the engine instruments. I'll run a couple engines up just to show you the response. There's the engine instruments, and on the side panel we have the electric meters. We can check those out by setting the switches, and you can see they respond adequate normally. We have a comm panel here, complete with marker beacons. We can touch control to select different speakers. You can also change the transmit from 1 to 2, just like in the simulator. Then we have a complement of radios, the Bendix King radios, including the ability to set shut the engines off here so it's not quite so noisy. You can see I have the ability to set the large digit by touching the outer dial, touch the center dial to set the lower, and we have the ability to swap that out. On the comm and nav side on both radios, we have controls for the DME and an ADF, and also transponder. Now on the side here we have the trim, and the trim controls, of course the pitch trim can be controlled up and down with the trim controls that you already have hardware. I left a software version of the yaw control, or the rudder control, trim control knob here, so that it can be set. Also, the aileron trim has buttons to do that, and you can touch the buttons. You can see them giving it right trim there, left wing down. You can see the buttons respond to touch and cause the electric trim to reset. Down here, further down, I have a battery temperature gauge. You can test that. We also have the thumb wheel controls, and there next to that is the hydraulic pressure. There's a vent fan switch that can be set, static selector, and the wing fuel tanks, complete with shutoff switches. So that pretty much covers all the gauges that I've put on this so far. I would anticipate that if you're going to use it, let's turn off the caution lights. If you're going to use it, I would suggest that you have at least a yoke, throttles to control the throttles props, some flap gauge, flap actuator, trim actuator, and that's really all you need to fly this thing around. Now the thing I need to add is some type of GPS. I'd suggest maybe MindStar or one of the others, standalone GPS that you can run alongside this panel. And then you pretty much have everything that you need to operate the Twin Otter without the use of a mouse or keyboard. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to take this out for a flight and probably run the cold and dark start here at some point in the future. Thanks for watching.